Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, start of a new build. I mean, if you watched my streams lately or followed them lately, you probably know that almost every single day is the start of a new build, because this is build number 5 or 6 this league. I know on YouTube you only know about 2, which is actually 3, the Crackling Land Sleek Starter, the Poison Blade Vortex, and now this guy, right? You don't know nothing about the Astral Projector, Discharge, Occultist, or the Archmage Ignite Trickster that I played, and the Autobomber Necromancer, and yeah, I think this the build. I think this build will work out quite nice in the current state of the league, as well as the gearing curve that we're gonna achieve with this build, or will have with this build. And yeah, what I'm talking about is a Bleedpale Gladiator, which is using Bleed and, hey, you guessed it right, Impale Gladiator. And no, it's not the Bleed Bow character that I played last league. This is an actual Pure Fizz Impale character using Bleed in addition. So we're going to use some nice budget items, you know, like Pharos 4, Replica. No, well, this is not budget, okay? Replica, Pharos 4, I'm going to talk about why this chest a little bit later. Is like 6 or 7x unlinked, so this is not really that cheap. But we are playing around the Crimson Storm Bow. And what this bow does is, first of all, it's cheap. Okay, it's not one chaos item, it's a Katarina drop, it's Mastermind drop, but it currently goes for around, I would say, 70 chaos, 60 chaos, 70 chaos, somewhere this part. So still affordable, right? It's not like any end game bow with, like, I don't know what crazy modifiers, 700 fizz DPS, which would be better, right? Don't get me wrong. But this build is still like for the budget, okay? We're talking about, I don't know, like, I mean, can go up to hundreds of exalts too at some point. Sorry. But I think this, like, should be quite nice, hopefully. So why Crimson Storm? What does it do? So this is a bow that is using pure fizz damage, that has some crit on it, some an unveiled mod, can be attack speed, damage per frenzy charge, endurance charge. Like, there is so many mods that you can basically craft on bows. But it also has adds flat physical damage against bleeding enemies, and also a chance to maim against with critical strikes with attacks. Enemies here inflict bleeding on grant 89% increased flask charges and stuff like that. So that means we're going to have insanely higher physical damage against bleeding targets. So if we take a look at Impale, what is Impale? Impale is basically storing up damage. This is a pure fizz thing, right? So what we do is just playing a crit bow version of I choose Tornado Shot because I haven't played this skill in quite a while, and it got nerfed to the ground like almost every patch. I think today, as like highest patch notes, were the first patch notes in like 5 leagues where there were no changes to Tornado Shot, or I overread them, I don't know. But it has been nerfed to the ground. The Tornado Shot enchant, the point blank, the Tornado Shot itself, the projectiles, the rig waltz was bugged a little bit with the fork and stuff like that. No idea. I still want to try it out because I just like to play Tornado Shot, and if you follow my channel for longer, you quite know that I play Tornado Shot quite often in like 10 leagues ago, or 8 leagues ago, 7 leagues ago, something like that. So don't forget, this is not a Bleed Bow Gladiator, okay? This is not focusing on Bleed. This is a normal Tornado Shot physical Impale build that is using Bleed in addition to cause extra damage taken from the enemies through, for example, the Crimson Storm or the Bloodletting and other sources of damage. Okay, fast map showcase. I just leveled this character up today. We did some, yeah, like 8 hours basically. Currently level 74. There is a list that I created that is missing on the build, right? And the list is maybe as long as my Christmas list, if I would write one, but that would be it, for example, right? So we're gonna go over to the things that I think might be good on the build and whatnot. So I would say let's just run any kind of low tier map, kind of have to. Is there any good layout? A cemetery map? I don't know. Strand is actually good. We're just gonna, I mean, I don't really want to do the boss, just because I don't like to spawn those master missions, right? But yeah, you're gonna see it is quite fast, and the clear is good, but it will get way better once we stack up additional projectiles. So it's basically played as a simple Tornado Shot build. So we don't really focus on anything. We just run around, keep the cursor in front of your character, and then you just press your tornado shot. And yeah, the additional projectiles, the chain, the fork, the pierce, the whatever is going to take care of the rest. It does look a little bit weak because we only have 5 projectiles at the moment, right? So once we get like additional projectiles, for example, a dying sun flask, maybe +1 from the awakened GMP, maybe +1 from the bow, maybe a +1 from the quiver. There is like a lot of sources to get additional projectiles, as well as on the skill tree with the reworked projectile things that are on the right side here. We have like projectiles have 50% chance for an additional projectile when forking. Since we're using the rigwelts at the moment, the projectiles do fork, so that might be also very nice for clearing. And at some point, you have to think about, we have 5 projectiles right now, so basically we're gonna have like 8 or 9 or 10 projectiles at some point, not counting in the additional projectiles. And I also want to talk a little bit about the rework of tornado shot, since you're probably unaware of that. It's not something that happened in Heist League. It happened like 2 leagues ago or so. I'm not really sure. It's basically how the secondary projectiles act. And this is basically now scaled with projectile speed. So I would say let's do the boss. If I spawn a master mission, I'm blaming you guys, okay? But yeah, it's tornado shot. It's just like shooting. You know what? Boss is dead. We pretend the boss is dead. I just don't want to get a freaking master mission here. So how does it look like? What is this? What I'm talking about with the secondary projectiles? So basically, if you're shooting your tornado shot, I think if we just take it as a standalone, let's just put it over here. So we just fire 1 arrow. You see those, what is like 5 additional shards that are flying. Hey, they are actually sticking to the wall. It's actually quite fun here. They're flying at a certain radius, okay? I think at the moment it's like maybe touching, yeah, like 1 screen or something like that, right? If you would now scale projectile speed, what I'm doing over here and then on other sources on the tree, maybe even going up to like ballistic mastery for projectile speed, taking projectile speed over here, then these secondary projectiles will travel further away from the point of impact. That means the more projectile speed we get, the better clear we will have. I'm not saying it's like good to get like 300% increased projectile speed, but that would mean that from the base stadium of the secondary projectiles, it would fly 3 times the distance as a tornado shot projectile would do the secondary without projectile speed. So it's definitely worth taking enough projectile speed so you at least cover 1 screen, and then basically if you shoot far away, you're basically clearing 2 screens, and that's pretty much the maximum anyways. Good. So I'm talking about the bleed aspect again. Obviously, we're playing Gladiator. Why not Slayer? Why not Scion? Why not anything else, or Champion or whatever, right? So since I said we are using the Crimson Storm to get the additional flat physical damage, we're going Gladiator because of bleeding. Since we do have 100% chance to bleed, we also can take use out of the bleed pops, and also the arena challenger charges, which is something I love to have anyways because of the more attack speed and more movement speed per challenger charges. Therefore, we are using Flesh and Stone as well. So for mapping, it's Flesh and Stone. We actually blind enemies and stuff, but we do get these challenger charges, and they're gonna make us extremely fast. And for bossing, we just swap to bleed to Flesh and Stone, the blood stance basically, to get increased physical damage, and now we can actually sustain the challenger charges for single target as well. The character so far is pretty much empty, I would say, just because I just leveled it up. I still have to work on the final part of building to see if we're going like a 6-link aura effect or whatnot, to make it like as good as possible. At the moment, I'm like legit running a 5-link, which is Tornado Shot, GMP obviously, then Vicious Projectiles, Impale, and Damage on Full Life. And if you're wondering why Damage on Full Life, it's pretty much the reason because I'm using Overleech through the Immortal Ambition. I'll go over that a little bit later. But I also would actually think of like the alternate quality brutality for physical, like overwhelming physical damage. I need to link it anyways, right? So it doesn't really matter if I have this or that, because damage on full life is usually like an insane support. But actually, I should use the brutality, because I'm not having elemental damage anyways, and the brutality will give me more physical damage than the damage on full life will do. Then on my chest, I currently just have like Flesh and Stone, Pride, and Dread Banner, which are my auras. and I have Aspect of the Cat because I'm using the Pharaoh's 4, and therefore my Aspect of the Cat reserves no mana. The rest, Devotos, as I said, I have to work on the gems anyways, and then I have a dash with the second wind support, but these are the alternate qualities, right? So the dash says every time I'm using dash, I'm getting phasing for like 2 seconds. That's super nice if you link it with increased duration. So your phasing will not be 2 seconds, it will be like 2.6 seconds or something. And with the Anomalous second wind support, you get +1 use out of your skill here, right? So I'm having 3 dash charges, which is super fine, and once I use it once, basically it recovers pretty fast, so I can almost like permanently dash around and permanently keep my facing up, right? But as I said, I plan to use it with increased duration as well. And then I have here a less duration. I'm going to talk about the Pharaoh's 4 actually right now. No, actually in a bit. So this is actually the base, you know, I just leveled it up. Still has to, a lot of improvements to do. We're gonna go over this big list anyways. But I just wanted to show you guys what I'm currently working on and what I'm trying to bring back. Because Tornado Shot is pretty much dead over the last 2 or 3 leagues, right? And you cannot even deny that. Good. So, Pharaoh's 4 Replica. What is so good about that? The thing is, if you remember the, I love to play Gladiators. I played, like, the Bleedpale Gladiator, or the Lacerate, or the other versions, like, Gladiator, Max Block, Cyclone, Impale, Bleed. Like, I've played so much Gladiator already, and it's one of my favorite Ascendancies, mostly because of the, block nodes and also of the challenger charges, and the bleed pops is super nice for clearing, and is especially super nice for league start, so you don't need an exploit chest or something like that. But what I'm talking about is the Outmatch and Outlast, which is 10% more physical damage while at maximum frenzy charges, and 10% reduced physical damage taken while at maximum endurance charges. So if you remember back, like I would say 2 leagues ago or 3 leagues ago, I was using a timeless jewel. I think it was not Glorious Vanity, it was something else. Brutal Restraint, I think, where you can get Frenzy Charge and hit, and Endurance Charge when you get hit. And this was the source that I could say, okay, it is worth taking the Outmatch and Outlast because I can sustain those charges for single target. And when I'm talking about single target, I know that Blood Rage will give me Frenzy Charges on kill, right? I know that Disciple of the Unyielding will give me Endurance Charges on kill. I know that now with the Enduring Cry, I can sustain Enduring Charges as well, right? But I'm a lazy player and I want to have this automated for single target. So I used to solve this with the Timeless Jewel, but this time, then last league with the Bleedpale Gladiator, if you remember, I used Rare Rings and the Rare Amulet for minimum Frenzy and Endurance charges, and also using the Disciple of Slaughter plus the Disciple of Unyielding to get 3 minimum Frenzy and 3 minimum Endurance charges without skilling into Endurance charges, so I'm permanently having my maximum as my minimum, right? So I have had this one permanent online. But now we have the Replica Pharaoh's 4. So if you remember, what is the Pharaoh's 4 doing? It gives you, like, besides life and the, what is it? The, free Cat's Agility, Aspect of the Cat, that's what I wanted to say. So, besides those 2 things, it was, you gain Frenzy and Power charges once you gain up the Cat's Agility, and you have Facing while you have the Cat's, what is the other one? Cat's Agility and... Holy shit! Agility and Stealth. Holy shit, god. Okay, so while you have Stealth, basically you have Facing, and once you reach the Agility, you're like resetting your Frenzy Endurance charges, or Power charges, right? And with the Replica, we now get Frenzy and Endurance charges instead of Power charges, and we also have Onslaught instead of Facing, which is 10 times better if you ask me. And if you socket the, if you have this Aspect of the Cat into an item like gloves or boots or ring, if you have a socket on it, you can put in a less duration. The reason for that is if you put that one out and it basically swaps these stances here, you see one has 8 seconds and the other one has 4 seconds, which means that I cannot really sustain my permanent Frenzy Endurance charges, because now you see that has like 3 seconds left, Now it falls off and now I get it again. Like usually once you're not scaling into increased duration, it completely falls off. I think like if I go more into frenzy charges and I get even more duration out of it, it might actually be able to sustain it permanently without using the less duration support, right? But what that makes basically, if I put in less duration, it basically halves the duration of the cat's agility and stealth swap around, and so I always have it up, you know? So it only takes like 4 or 5 seconds until I recharge my endurance charges and frenzy charges, so I don't have these weird sounds when the charges fall off. So that's a pretty 5-head thing if you want to do that, as well as with the normal Pharaoh's Fur, basically, right? So, and with this one, I permanently have up my friends in endurance charges. I don't have to worry about using a timeless jewel. I don't have to worry about crafting minimum endurance and frenzy charges. I don't have to skill into unyielding and stuff. And now I can actually skill endurance charges and frenzy charges, because I could have like 15 endurance charges. I would permanently have them available, right? So this is like a super nice quality of life setup with the replica Pharaoh's Fur. So what else is nice to say about the build at this current state? Not really a lot, right? There is like so many upgrades to be done on this build. It's a fresh character, right? So let's go over the list, what I plan to do on this build, and better said, what I want to do, reach, right? So I want to have 100% chance to bleed what I currently have. Pretty easy to get with the bow and also with the what is it called? The Crimson Dance, like the bow itself and the Ascendancy of the Gladiator, which gives me like 50% on its own with the bleed pops and the blood in the eyes. Both have like 25% chance to bleed. Then 100% chance to impale, which is kind of obvious that you want to reach that with an impale character, with the impale support, with the dread banner, and also with the skill tree. We're having some impale nodes over here and here. I'm not sure if it's going to be worth to skill these impale nodes, because, I mean, if I decide to go for the endurance charge, then I will probably take it on the way, but I think it's stronger to go to the right side of the tree and taking all those bow nodes, and especially like split shot, the crit nodes and stuff like that. And we also get the 5th frenzy charge over here. Then I want to have 100% chance to hit. This is like not marked. I think I do have 100% chance to hit at the moment based on my accuracy, but the higher level you get, the more accuracy you need, and at some point I probably have to run a precision as well. But this is about the aura setup where I still have to POB. What level do I have to take? Do I have to run a 6-link aura setup with Enlighten and stuff like that? Does it even work? Do I have to take it? And so on. Then 100% ailment immunity, the good old classic mbX way of don't worry about shock, freeze, ignite, brittle sap, whatever, you know. So we're gonna reach that certainly at some point. I only have 20% at the moment with this thick skin cluster. I could get another 50% over here, but we're probably going to settle down on some shaper boots and maybe even a small cluster jewel with a 30% chance to avoid elemental ailments, which is the actually gives you dodge as well, elegant form, I think, something like that. Still have to figure out what approach is going to be, or if it's just going to be on the gloves or on the helmet or something like that. We're going to see about that. Then permanent frenzy endurance charges, replica Pharaoh's Fur. This is what I just explained with the endurance charges here. Then overleech with the immortal ambition. So this is basically the glorious vanity with the what is it? Influenced by Ahuana, and then we can transform this one into Immortal Ambition, which basically gives us Overleech, right? And that's why I'm also want to scale into like a Vitality Void. I'm actually even considering taking like the Atsiris Equity for the Val Pact, but in the other hand, it's only 1 point, right? But I still think that the equities are not bad based on a crit strike chance. They have life, they have shit tons of intelligence, and I'm starving like every like duelist build or something like that. We're so freaking starved in intelligence anyways. I cannot even run an Enlighten without spending 2 skill points into the 30 intelligence nodes over here. So maybe the equities would be nice. Otherwise, there is like rare gloves with like +1 frenzy, or we're gonna see about that, what it's going to be. Maybe even the Pharaoh's gloves or something like that. Questionable, right? But we do have Overleech, so I'm probably gonna stack into some kind of Val Pact, or even the new ring that came out with the life leech is doubled or something like that, so you can basically quadra your life leech. So this might be tested as well. I'm actually going to write this one down over here. Quadra life leech ring plus Val Pact. So I'm always like doing this to write like a list to see what do I have to do. And when I say like, hey, what is the next upgrade in my build? I check my list. What could we do next? The labs would be nice. You know, I'm only having 3 labs, so I need to do the 4th, so I could do it now, you know. So I'm just working over the list and see what would be the best one at the moment. Then obviously Awakened Gems 21, 23, especially with Awakened GMP and other things like Awakened Brutality and stuff like that. They're going to be quite insane damage increase, as well as the 6 link. I'm currently running double 5 link since the replica Pharos 4 and the rest of the items did cost quite some currency. I'm like currently at 60k, so I just need to grind up, farm currency, and get at least one of those 2 6 link, because I don't even know, do I need a tornado shot for single target? Do I need a barrage? Will tornado shot in the current setup will be enough to do Cyrus 8, for example? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Do I need a 6 link, a second 6 link that might be a barrage setup, or do I not need that? I just have to play with the build to see if Tornado Shot alone is good enough. Cluster Jewels, I currently have only a large Cluster Jewels with Feed the Fury, Vicious Skewering, and Martial Prowess. So don't know which medium Cluster Jewels or small Cluster Jewels we're gonna take, if we're gonna take some anyways. It's just about path of building. I need to check out the final tree, what I wanted to reach, you know, like, I want to have like 7k life, you know, and 7k life is not easy to reach, so we definitely have to take the sound life wheel here, and we have to see how far on the top side we can go, because we're now 74, that means I have like probably 26 more skill points, and if I get frenzy charges over here, the bow notes over here, and maybe some life notes on the left side, we probably not even be able to do any fancy big cluster jewel setups, but we're gonna see about that, I would say. Then flask setup needs to be changed completely. I currently have like a speed or adrenalines, a quicksilver flask, a diamond flask, bleed immunity, freeze immunity that falls off once we are ailment immune. So Dying Sun, big upgrade, 2 additional projectiles for single target and for clearing for obvious reasons. A Sinner Swallow Urn with the onslaught would be nice, and there's like other things that we can opt in that might be good even in the early stages, maybe even like an enduring mana flask or something, because Tornado Shot does cost quite some mana in that regard. Then I do have already the Tornado Shot Devotus. I just want to go for like insane movement speed. I think I wrote down like 300% movement speed, which is going to be hard to reach, but if I get down to like 250 to 300, I would say I would be like super happy. Let's do 250 to 300, but therefore I need to get my Cinder Swallow, my Onslaught effect, like all of that things. And don't forget, I do get Onslaught if I have Cat's Agility, but in the other hand, it's not permanently active, right? I think it's not even that bad if I get enough duration on my charges that I can skip the last duration and actually go for an increased duration, for example. That would actually be bad, so then it would fall off again, like... Maybe we just skip the gem over here and that's about it. Because the Cat's Agility is the one that is holding 8 seconds. So we would have the 8 seconds of Onslaught and then like, was like 4 seconds of the stealth basically, where we have like increased critical strike chance. We're gonna see. Watcher's Eye, definitely, I mean... It's a pure Fizz Impale character, so Impale +2 maybe, precision multiplier, precision attack speed, attack physical damage, like there is a lot of things that we could opt into here as well. The Reslatter's Coil I think is going to be a massive DPS upgrade. Dying Sun I was talking about anyways. Then questionable, do we take the Rigwald Squills like we used to with Tornado Shot builds, or is it just better in terms of clearing and single target to take a rare Quiver, life, damage, resistance, and +1 additional arrow, which comes from the Shaper mod? That would be an interesting way. Then 0 mana cost. If I reach that, that would be insane. So currently I have like 27 mana cost. I think with a 6 link it would be something like 30 something. But don't forget, we have 3 slots open here for rare items on rings and amulets. That means we can get minus 30 mana cost of non-channeling skills on here. And I found a replica jewel and some replica unique jewel that also gives you minus 9 mana cost. So I could get up to like minus 40 or 39 mana cost. So as long as if I stay below 39, that would be insane. Dash free, Tornado Shot, then we can like insanely scale attack speed, blood rage, and even if I have 10 tornado shots per second, which is usually unsustainable in terms of mana, if it doesn't cost any mana, it's easy to sustain, right? Then a curse setup for rings, maybe like vulnerability or punishment. Like there is a lot of things that we might like work towards. Then I still need to figure out what anointment. I'm not even running one at the moment. Then, as I said, final POB, Cyrus 8, is it viable for all content? And that's pretty much it. This is the list that I currently wrote. I'm pretty sure over the terms of playing, I will find another like bazillion things that I want to add here. And every time I have something, I can either check it off, and then I want to see how is the progression going, and do I think I can take it on? You know, with the Blade Vortex character, I did do all content, and with this one, I'm currently just like leveling, getting skill points, getting currency, getting gear, trying my sixling. So I'm basically starting League over again. But hey, this character might be like really, really cool and insane to play at some stage, hopefully. It is quite fast already, without like still missing like 90% of the list, right? So yeah, this is the quest for the next couple of days. I would say I'll keep you updated with like in like 2 days or so, when we have some more currency, hopefully a sixling, maybe even an awakened GMP or a dying sun. These items just cost a lot of money, but this is like the interesting fact about League Start, right? No currency, big plans, you know, big plans, and then just work towards like, hey, okay, next 100 chaos, this item, next 3x, this item, and then you just keep on going until your character is on the state where you want to have it to be. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.